Well, welcome back to Home and Backyard, and as you can see, I've got all my stuff together to show you how I put together a large planter. So this is what I'm using, and this I got from one of the big boxes. I like it because it's extremely lightweight and it's very thick at the top. So let's talk soils, potting mix as we say here. I'm using this one, which I found to be is quite good. It's a moisture retentive one, and I'm going to empty the whole of a packet. Cut right to the end. Now the problem about these new soil mixes is that they're heavily compressed and you can't just pour that into the pot. You actually have to, I'm going to empty it first and then I'm going to break it up a little bit. So the bottom looks a little bit better, but there are chunks in it that you do have to break apart. This soil is slightly damp. If it was too dry, you might get this sort of kind of powdery mix coming in the air, which probably isn't very good to breathe in. It's not a bad mix. I like a mixture that springs back. Sometimes if they've got too much peat moss in it, they can stay too damp. What I'm going to do with the container though is create a bit of airspace. There are one of two ways of doing it, and what I do, because you know I run a garden center, we have lots of these hard plastic pots. So the first thing I'm going to start off with is to put a pot in the bottom. I'm going to drop it in there. It's got little bridges, so it keeps the pot off the bottom. Just to allow the drainage to go by, I'm going to pour about an inch of gravel from this little truck. Just a little inch. I'm just going to pour it in. Not too much because it's quite heavy. So this is a huge volume of soil. The plants I'm putting in it don't need so much soil to grow. But I thought of a clever alternative is to use this double shredded hardwood bark mulch, the stuff I like to use for mulching around my plants. And I'm going to fill it right up to the top of that planter, the upside down planter. All right, some of the topsoil, the potting soil I should say, don't use garden topsoil. I'm just going to make about a 2-inch layer. All right, there we go. And now I'm going to put the main feature plant, which is over here. This is one of the cannas that I overwintered inside. And you can see it's well on its way to growing up quite successfully. So I've done that. Now what I'm going to do is just fill up the space with some of the potting soil. I don't know, there's nothing better than actually working the compost with your hands. So what have I chosen? Algaranthemum is my first choice. I love this daisy. It just flowers its heart out. And as you can see, it's well grown in that container. If you buy a plant and you pull it out, the plant looks like this, you really have to pull that. Don't have to pull it off. You could pull it off, but I tend to like to just pull it out. They are roots, they are absorbing moisture. So just open it up a little bit. So this is going to get about this size, right? These will be up about here at least, believe it or not. So let's choose another plant. A yellow lantana. These are very drought resistant. This will cascade, kind of go out sideways and down a little bit. So I'm going to tuck him in there. And I'm going to use that. I use it so much, it's so easy to grow. It comes in as a house plant. It makes a wonderful hanging plant, or up even in a little kind of trellis. It will grow up, you can weave it up. I'm going to tuck that on this side. There we go, sweet potato vine. You might be familiar with those. They're just going to cascade right over the edge. I'm leaving about 2 inches for watering in this container, 2 inches, and with the mulch below, it's a fantastic water retentive container. All right, one final ingredient. Well, actually, there's a couple of things I want to say. Slow release fertilizer. I know this soil mix has a bit in it, but I always add a little bit more of these. This is a 6-month feed, and it's quite a large container, so I'm probably putting about 3 tablespoons into the soil at the top. Every time you water, those little beads release some of the nutrients for the plants. To give the plants an extra quick boost, I like to use a little bit of a liquid fertilizer. It really makes things jump. And what I've got in here is actually a solution of Jack's. They call it a soluble. You buy it in bags of granular stuff and you scoop it in. And I've worked it out that 1 measure of this is good for 2 gallons. So I'm going to fill it up right to the top. In it goes. Give it a little bit of a shake. And then a good water. So it doesn't matter what the summer does, a bright contrast between the blue and the yellow brings a bit of sunshine into your life. And as I say, it's probably going to be as tall as me by midsummer.